And I will still be coming to graphics as a group, because you have over 5 titles, about 5 titles, 6 titles. So we'll be looking at maybe in a jiffy, we'll look at all the 6 titles and your vision for those titles. But before then, he mentioned the issue of, majority of the people are not trained, and they are not willing to be trained, if you ask me. Now, what are you going to do? Because you are now the president. I take you out of graphics now as the president of GJA. Now, what are we going to do to check some of these unethical practices?
That is a good question and critical for the future of our profession. It's important that those who want to practice this profession abide by the code of ethics of the profession, as I said earlier. It's only journalists who do not want to abide by their code, but they are ready to hold other people accountable for their action. You see the irony of our situation. And that is why MD said that sometimes we want to infect people with our arrogance and ignorance. I mean, why do you want to hold other people accountable and then you do not want to submit to your code? And that is the fundamental problem facing us. And when we have challenges in the media, it's basically because some of our people just decide that, look, to hell with the code, and I can do things my own way. But you cannot succeed in any society when you decide to do things your own way. And mind you, the media can be a lethal weapon if not handled very well. That is why in Rwanda, things like that happen. In Kenya today, one of the 4 people standing trial for crimes against humanity. You remember in 2007 when they had their crisis. He's a journalist. So sometimes we think that we too cannot be held before the ICC. We can, depending on the misuse of the media and what it costs society. That is why we also need to be very mindful this time. But interestingly, we have many training institutions today. So the media industry should not be having problems with resources, human resources at all. But what is the situation? Because some media owners do not want to pay well. My brother, do you know that some people are paid as low as 20 Ghana cedis today in the media industry?
20 Ghana cedis?
20 Ghana cedis.
Daily or monthly?
Monthly, I'm telling you. I mean, the TUC did a study last year and came out with that startling revelation. 20 Ghana cedis. That's because they do not want to pay. As Ken said, some of them just go to some social gatherings and the Ochami there or whoever is the MC is able to rattle and talk well in the local
some media
language.
organization again do not allow the skill of their staff to really come out. Don't you think that's another major challenge?
Is it the skill?
Because they think they know, maybe 1 or 2 people understand everything all.
Yes.
And they just pass it on.
You are right that in some media houses, a few people are paid very well. The others are not. So you may be right. But I'm saying that if you take the training institutions, we should not be in want of the skillful people to do this work. So why do we just go out and take people from SSS who do not have skills? And see, even if we do that, I recall that in the early days of graphic, we didn't have training institutions. If we had, it was only the Ghana Institute of Journalism then. But some people just finished secondary education and other training institutions, but they were trained on the job. And some of them were one of the best journalists we've ever had in this country. Today, even unequal by our performance. But they did not go to any formal training institution. You needed to learn on the job. And if you learn the rope and you learn it so well, journalism is there the skills for writing and making sure that you abide by the code of the profession.
Well, the president is talking as the president of GJA now. Hasn't told me to tell some of the employers who still pay 20 Ghana cedi a month to please change. Please, that will not even. I don't know how you expect somebody, and they won't be stealing your stuff. Well, that's another issue. Yeah, Mr. Ken, as we round off, most times some of African media organizations still depend on foreign media for information about Africa. Why?
Well, I think that's one of the sad things that confront us, and that's the challenge for people like me, those of us in leadership in Africa, is to see how do we collaborate, how do we partner, because it's a shame that we're sitting here, our brothers in Nigeria, a story would break in Nigeria, and we'll go and pick it from AP or BBC or CNN. whilst we have partners at the Punch and other places where we could decide that when it comes to Ghana news, we would produce it for the Nigerian market. When it comes to the Nigerian market, they produce for us. So it's important, and I think the time is right for us to be able to have an African bureau where we harness the news from our various local sources, because we are all generating the news from our end. Al Jazeera had shown it. They've done it. They've shown us that they could start telling the news from the Middle East from their perspective. And that's the only way in which we'll take the power out of the West, where only thing that is reported about Africa is the negatives, because it's in their interest to perpetuate that. But the power is in our hands as media owners in Africa to invest a little bit, to bend back a little bit, to collaborate a little bit, to talk amongst ourselves a little bit, so that we can tell the good stories. We can tell the good stories. But even in Ghana, sometimes, as journalists, all that we do is to tell only the bad stories. We need to also start celebrating Ghanaian people who are doing the positive things about Africa. Once we start putting it on our media, unfortunately now, because of the emergence of the digital media, where you have the internet and all of that, we can also start sending the stories out from whatever we're producing here, and our neighbors can pick it up, and then we can polish the image of Africa, because there's so much good happening. If you take Ghana, there's so much happening, and the future for me, I think, is bright. Even with the media, with all the happenings around, with some of the negativities, mainstream, I think we're doing a good job. We just need to be guided by it and see how do we improve from where we've come from, where we are now, into the future.
What do we expect from Graphics Communications now?
Well, I think Graphic Communications Group, basically, we're a graphic corporation in the past, but now we're a communications company, and we've been running our print for a very long time. We have the Daily Graphic, which is the flagship brand, the largest selling daily in the whole of Ghana. Then we also have our sports paper we call the Graphic Sports. We have Graphic Business, which is our financial paper. We have Graphic Showbiz, which deals with showbiz and entertainment. And you should watch that space.
And there's no day you have a starkly naked woman.
No, we won't do that. We won't do that.
In spite of the fact that it's still showbiz.
Exactly. So that's what we want to do, is to provide the leadership by the way we do our stuff. And then we have Junior Graphic, which is a brand that is very close to my heart. With the challenges in Ghana where the reading culture is going down, what we do is to subsidize the production of a paper for children to encourage them to read. And that same paper also has, and within it, you find the three elements of journalism in the information. We give them a lot of information of what is happening. We also entertain them. There's some entertainment, very wholesome entertainment. And then there's a lot of education, because we recognize the fact that we're unable to provide all the textbooks, all the teachers everywhere. So we use the newspaper to be able to provide this information, which goes round to everybody. My appeal is that we're currently selling that paper at 70 pesos, while our competitors are still selling a 16-page paper at 2 Ghana cedis. We are selling at 70 pesos. But even with that, there are a lot of schools who still cannot afford just the 70 pesos. My appeal to all people who are watching, especially in corporate Ghana who are watching, they can partner with Graphic. And what we can do is decide that, in the places that you operate, if you find out a very deprived school, to say that let's just supply them 10 copies a week. That's 7 CDs a week. That's all that you'll be spending. And Graphic would gladly distribute that to the school and tell them that you have made this possible. And with that, we'll be able to make a change. And I'm just asking all of us in the media to also say that it's important that we invest into the future of our children, because that's the only way we are going to be able to move forward. There's another brand, The Mirror, which is also the largest weekend paper that deals with a lot of family issues, a lot more feminine, which comes out on Saturdays. It's also very wholesome.
Women like that a lot.
Exactly.
I don't know why.
Well, it's because of the content. You have a lot of fashion, you have a lot of things about homekeeping, health, and all of that, safety, and all of that in that. And you normally would find we try to celebrate our people. So you find a nice person, a couple or family on the front page every weekend.
Well, I've been speaking with Mr. Ken Ashigbey, the MD Graphic Communications Group, and Mr. Ransford Tetteh, President, Ghana Journalist Association, and the editor of Daily Graphics. Finally, I'd like to ask you, this is election year, from the Journalists Association. What is your message to your members?
Yeah, we are very concerned about this year's election. We know we have had it 5 times. It shouldn't be something new that innovative or novelty that we are worried about. We've had it 5 times. But going into the election, we are having some challenges already with the biometric registration exercise. What we appeal to our colleagues in the media to do, just to be circumspect in their reportage. Anything that they do, they must remember the canons of journalism. That is to be accurate, to be fair, and to be balanced. We do not worry so much about the causes people support. It is important in a pluralistic society like ours, where we are in a plural multi-party democracy, for people to support causes that they believe will serve their interests. But you do so based on the ground rules. And for us in the media, the cardinal principles are to be accurate, to be fair, and to be balanced. If you pick on somebody who has done a wrong in society and all the elements are there, you are fair to the person, he also has his stake in that story that you have crafted. I believe that he may not like it, but I don't think that the person will be violent that you haven't done what is right. If we don't do that, then we are likely to plunge this country into chaos. I believe that what is happening is just perhaps a storm in a teacup. But it can only remain a storm in a teacup if media practitioners, who wield so much power as a fourth estate of the realm, decide that, look, they will maintain the sanctity and peace and stability of this country by always doing what is right. And by doing what is right is making sure that the ethics of our profession are followed. And indeed, for graphic, because I'm the editor of the paper, yeah, is the fact that the Graphic Communications Group as a whole has decided this year that we'll move away from the mundane rally talk, where people mount platform. When they see the huge crowd, they are carried away. They give promises. We will build bridges where there are no rivers. And yet, after it, or when they ask, all that they tell you is that these are platform talk. We do not want that to happen in 2012 because we want to build and sustain our democracy. So what we are doing is that we have picked some 5 thematic areas that we want to go to the political parties. What are your take on, say, education, health, infrastructure, economy, and agriculture, for instance? Tell us, when you come to power, what we will do.
Because so you want to deal with issues, yeah, not personality.
No, because we are interested in the standard of living of our people. That after 20 years of democracy, the dividends of democracy must inure to the people. People must begin to see that when you give me voice to decide what I want, I must see that that is inuring to my benefit, that my standards of living are improving, standards of education are improving, standards of health are improving. We do not want to have a situation where, even up to today, we have schools under trees, we have classrooms without teachers, we have hospitals without nurses and doctors. That is what we want to avoid. So let them tell us what they will do. And if that happens, I believe that this year's election will be a different ballgame.
Yeah, Mr. Kane, someone was campaigning as MP to be in one country, not Ghana to be precise. I mean, to be honest with you. And he said he would construct railway on the sea. That was his promise to the people. So what do we do when promises are like this are coming? What do we do as media empire, especially yours, your own media, because you control media in Ghana. When it comes to newspapering, in fact, whatever that is in Ghana, you are in charge now, as far as media is concerned.
Thank you very much. And I say this, I'm so passionate about this, that we are just going into an election. We're just going to select a chief executive for Ghana. That's all we're going to do. And then, so it does not deserve a drop of blood to choose that. Whereas the assumption is that all these people, the politicians, they have the interest of Ghana at heart. We all want to drive this Ghana to a particular place. It is only an issue of differences in ideas. Interestingly, if even you look critically at the 2 parties that have dominated the Fourth Republic, the MPP and the NDC, they both seem to have almost the same policies. So what we need to, the questions you should be asking them is, how are they going to do what they are promising that they are going to do? So that is what, for us as media people, is to be able to question some of these things. That's the reason why Ransford said that we would be tackling a lot of the issues. We'll be challenging them. We'll be holding all the politicians to account. You say you're going to do this. How are you going to do this? So that in the process, we can let the Ghanaians know what these people are for, so that when they go to cast their ballot, it is not because the person is red, is fair. It's not because the person is dark. It's not because the person is nice. That you cannot help. It would still come in. But people would also know that this is what the people stand for. It's the reason why, apart from the 5 thematic areas that we will look on a global level, we will still go to the regions and be able to hold these town hall meetings where we can question them on local issues as well. And our hope is that the media will generally do this. Go down to the people and talk to them and talk to these people who are seeking our mandate. And we should know that we are giving them the power. They are just going to hold this power and trust for us. So we should question them and make sure that the issues, it is about issues. It's about how they are going to make our lives better. And then we should all know that at the end of the day, the peace that we're enjoying in Ghana, the places where violence has happened, those people are not different from us. Cote d'Ivoire was so peaceful, was more peaceful before us, before that bubble broke. So we all need to police the peace. We all need to be mindful of it. We all have friends, the youth. I'm speaking directly to the youth. You are the future of our country. So don't allow, and most of these people who will come to you and rabble-rouse, their children will not be part of it. And don't let us become Esau's, where just for broth, just for the little that we eat today, we sacrifice our future. The future for Ghana is very bright. We have struck oil. We have a lot of other things. ICT is happening. Ghanaians are doing things. The future is bright. What we need to do is to make sure that we cross 2012. And no matter who the party that is going to win, once we're able to do it peacefully, once the process, we police the process and make sure that it is transparent, it is fair, and you can also see that it is fair, and all of us accept it. The dividends would inure to those who are in power and those who are out of power. But most importantly, to all of us, our businesses will thrive, our people, our children will get better schools to go to, and we will progress. Just look at what we've done over this time that we have been going along. We've moved to a middle economy status, and all of them have, all the political parties have played a part in it. Let's just make sure we're choosing leaders based on how well they are telling us they will be able to do it. And the future is bright for Ghana.
The future is bright for Ghana. I want to say a big thank you, sir, for coming on the program. Mr. Ransford Tetteh is the president of Ghana Journalists Association, as well as the editor of Daily Graphics. And of course, our big boss is also on the set with me today, Mr. Kenneth Ashigbey, the managing director of Graphic Communications Group. I want to thank you. It would take, I don't know whether I'm an editor too, it would take an editor to hold an editor and an MD to ransom more than 5 minutes.
Exactly.
Because you gave me 5 minutes, and if you check your time, I spent exactly 5 minutes. Moses Owopade is my name. I want to say a big thank you to all the production crew of Reggie, ID Johnson, Sami, Ato, Dan, everybody, and of course Elvis. They are all part of today's production. I thank you very much. I see you again next week by the grace of God. Bye-bye.